Hey guys, good evening everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessToTrade.com nightly wrap-up show. Happy, what's it? Today's Tuesday, right? Tuesday. I love those short work weeks. Happy Tuesday, everybody. So, does anybody remember the last time the market was down? I mean, seriously, does anybody remember the last time the market was down? It's just really amazing what we're seeing in the markets. And I have to admit this, man. I know plenty of people, plenty of my good friends that have been on and off shorting this market now for a while. Okay, for a while. Again, they've gotten smarter. They've paired some of their shorts with their longs. But boy, oh boy, this market is just incredibly strong. Another day, another new high on the tape. The Dow 20,743. Again, everybody was talking about Dow 20,000 for a long time. It came, it went. It was very anticlimactic. It didn't really make a difference. Obviously, everybody understands why it doesn't make a difference. But it's just amazing that every single time this tape shows any type of weakness, the bulls come back. There's always an area of the market that's incredibly focused. And then next thing you know, we close at all-time highs. It's amazing strength. The most amazing part about this is literally the market turns on a dime. And the market doesn't turn on a dime the way it used to back in the day as well. A crazy exaggeration reversal, a crazy exaggeration blow off top. Now the market's just going on a dime out of random, literally random intervals. Nothing materialistic, nothing technical. It just turns. And you started seeing a lot of, and again, going back to today, you started seeing a lot of intraday weakness. You started seeing again, Tesla make that big move in the beginning. So Amazon, obviously, so Netflix. You saw these big moves in the morning. And that range literally sold for the rest of the day, right? And you started seeing this move down. You started seeing these move down. You see move down. And market representing a lot of weakness and then no follow through. And if you look at my day today, right, I put on 4 trades today. Okay, put on 4 trades today. 3 out of those 4 trades were flat trades. Okay, were flat trades. And they all started, right? They started as profitable trades. And the one thing that's amazing to me, just amazing to me in this type of environment is you're just when you think you're going to get that big aggressive follow through to get that short value, right? And everybody's looking for that magical reversal, but at least the short value, it just loses its steam and then kind of reverses right before you're about to cover. So let me give you a perfect example. Right. So my first trade of the day was this SWKS, right? Actually, the second day, but let's talk about the average pivots. Okay, so here was my first pivot of the day, right? So this thing puts in a lower high, or excuse me, this thing puts in a low of 96.13, right, guys? Puts in a low of 96.13. And if you saw how aggressive the movement was down, started moving back down, started putting in this lower high. Here's the high and here's the lower high. So all I needed to see was this kind of confirmation below this $96 area. So I short the stock at 96, right? No big deal, right? No big deal. It starts getting weaker. And if you see the run that SWKS had, kind of this blow off top here, you're looking at the stock and you say, okay, if this market reversals, the futures reversal, the stock's going to reverse. So I short the stock, right? I short the stock, goes up against me maybe 15 cents, no big deal. And then it starts going down, right? Starts going down. Starts putting in a low of 95.70, right? 95.70. So I said to myself, okay, cool. The next candle, right? The next candle, this thing really should confirm that, and I should get my move, 75 cents to $1. So I'm up about 30 cents in the trade. So I said, you know what? Futures are starting to get stronger a little bit. Let me use a break even as my stop. Yada, yada, yada. It never breaks down in a lower candle. I get stopped out, right? So 30-cent move. Again, not a big move one way or another, but a 30-cent move. You have a tipping point right in front of you. You have a market that's losing steam intraday. Everything's good. Stop that even. So look at Google, right? Google, the same thing. Google never rallies, right? Never rallies in the whole day. Okay, so it starts again putting low highs. Here's a high, here's a lower high. So I start shorting Google right here, right? I start shorting Google right here. The problem is there was no liquidity, zero liquidity in the trade, zero liquidity. So I got literally a quarter of my size or a third of my size, like nothing. I said, you know what, whatever. It is what it is. If it comes in 2 points, I'll take my money, whatever the case may be. So Google goes down $1, right? Goes down $1. And just when you think at least it's going to have the tipping point into support, it reverses course, yada, yada, yada. I wound up making literally 25 cents in the trade. Nothing. Call that a flat trade as well. Okay. Same thing with a lower price stock. So I buy this little stock, TENX, which by the way, I'm still long. I buy the stock TENX, right? I buy the stock TENX. I pay 79 cents for it. The stock goes to 85, 86, whatever it was, 85, 80. Don't take a single share off, right? Because I think it's going to go at least to 91. The stock basically closes where I bought it. So these are kind of, I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, well, what the hell is going on? Why can't I get the follow through? So I started looking at stocks that were on our watch list, right? Again, for those of you guys who don't know, again, I trade beta. I trade beta and I trade smaller cap stocks. Very, very tough for me to get involved in one of these $12 stocks or $15 stocks because, again, the liquidity part of these $12 to $15 stocks are just horrendous. A lot of these stocks trade at 200, 300 shares. And if you really believe in the stock, you got to sit there and bid for the stock and accumulate a position all within one price because there's no way, you're absolutely no way getting filled on a breakout. And again, what I would do is I'm a breakout, I'm a breakdown trader. There's nothing in between. I don't sit there, try to rationalize things. I am a price action guy. So there's no way you can lift enough size in these things for that big move. So let's take a look at INSY, right? So INSY, this was off our watch list, right? INSY was off our watch list. Okay, so check this out. So I buy the stock right here, right? I buy the stock right here, roughly, I think I paid $11.29, $11.30, where the hell it was, right? And as soon as it triggered, if you guys saw how thin it was, like I almost had a heart attack. Literally, it went on 100 share lots with a 10-cent spread. And I said to myself, well, what the hell? How can I possibly stay in a trade like this? And make a long story short, when it didn't take out the opening range low, I sold break even, right? I sold the stock break even. And I said to myself, you know what? Better be safe than sorry. It's way too thin for me to be in the stock. The stock goes all the way down to $11. So ironically, I would have got stopped out with a loss. So I sold this thing flat. I see, this thing gets down to the bottom of the channel, 1098 of all things, right? 1098. I look an hour later, this thing absolutely going bananas. So I'm sitting there scratching my head. Okay, cool, no big deal. Same thing happened, again, same thing happened with, what was that stock? What was that bio name? What was the bio name we had off the watch list? Let me just think about it really, really quick. Oh, MyGen, right? MyGen, same thing. If you guys saw how MyGen, how MyGen triggered, we talked about that 1170 area. I'm sorry, the 1870 area. It broke 1870. I'm talking no volume at all, no liquidity at all, and the stock starts going up. Oh, cool. So we're starting to get a lot of the same things over and over again. And if you look at some of the other moves, say off the watch list, so some really, really big moves. BLPH. Congratulations to you guys who did catch it. That 115 break, we had this thing, 115, just a huge move. INSI, we talked about. BLPH, we talked about. MyGen, we talked about. INSY, we talked about. And I started noticing some really good changes in the market. And again, we always talk about changing. We always talk about changing with the environment. We always talk about understanding sometimes that the markets will change with or without you. And, for years and years and years, we've been always saying the most aggressive moves are always coming at the open, the first hour. That is still true, okay? That is still true. What I've been noticing now for the last several months, or actually for the last several weeks, not several months, for the last several weeks, I'm starting to see more value, okay, and more safer entries, much more safer entries in the markets in the middle of the day. So let's talk about this. Again, a lot of times when people talk about dead zones, I'm looking at it a little bit differently. So here's a few examples that I talked about. And here's where the lack of liquidity today really hurt me. Not financially, it's just I couldn't get involved with these trades. There was just no liquidity. So here's Tesla. Puts in 90% of it range on the first market, blow off top, starts coming in lower, right? So I was looking at the stock actually as a short right here, 277, 276.60, which obviously never triggered. But here was the sneaky pivot right here. Here was the sneaky pivot right here, this 278.05, 78.20 level, right over here. And I was watching this thing trade, and I said, man, where's the liquidity? The biggest offer I saw, this whole range was like 600 shares. That's it, 600 shares, 100 share lots trading. And I said, how can I possibly take this trade? And again, another case scenario, the pivot works. I couldn't get involved with. There's no liquidity in the trade. and the stock runs up to 29.50. So you're talking about $1.50 move here before it kind of put in this another baby stuff to go lower. So, really, as much as I was frustrated there, I understood, okay? As much as I was frustrated, I really understood. And look at Baidu, for example, right? So I talked about Baidu today. Again, another sneaky pivot right here. Here's your value play right here, 185.10, like the fifth candle of the day. And once this candle took that out, this 85.10 level, it put up a 70-cent move. So the more that I'm starting to, as more as I'm starting to trade, the pivots with a sneaky emphasis, the more I'm really starting to see that we're getting a lot more juice and a lot more safer juice. I think that's the key. So in other words, if years ago I used to say, well, if I miss my window, right? If I miss my aggressive window, well, the day is over. I'm not going to take any second and third tier setups, yada, 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 yada. But the more I'm watching these things, the more I'm really emphasizing these lunchtime pivots between 12 o'clock, right, Eastern time, between 12 o'clock, that's the third candle of the day, and all the way to 3 o'clock, right? So that's starting to get the meat, right? The first move of the day, that 90% range, that's all fine and dandy. And I'll still trade that move. I'll still trade that move if there's a defined range. But I'm starting to see more and more really good emphasis on stocks in the middle of the day, for example, putting in a high, right through supply, taking out that high, and at least if nothing at all, giving you cash flow. So kind of an odd day for me today. Really odd day. Just an odd day. 3 out of the 4 trades that I took that broke even on were breaking. Were profitable trades. And again, I just couldn't get that extra push for them to make it worth my while. But it is what it is. I'm more and more excited. I really am more excited about that. Even days that I can't get that. That ball through the infield, right? That seeing eye base hit, because every trader wants to go for the fences. Every single trader is looking for that double, that home run, that triple, right? But a lot of times we're basically looking, I don't care who you are, what you trade, a lot of times we're also looking for that CNI base hit, right, guys? That CNI base hit to kind of just get through the outfield, and I just couldn't get the ball through the outfield today, which is the most amazing part considering the strength of the tape. But if you really watch the strength of the tape from the inside out instead of the outside in, that a lot of retail investors look at, you really have to appreciate what we saw today. So as much as I said to myself, well, it is what it is today, and I looked at the scoreboard at the end of the day, I said to myself, man, maybe I could have done something different. And the more and more I went back through the trades in my head. Okay, I went back through the trades in my head. I said to myself, there was nothing possibly I could have done different, right? Nothing possibly I could have done different. I mean, literally nothing possible. I mean, you can't create liquidity. You can go back and say, well, I should have done this trade because the pivot was good and the price action was great off the pivot. But the one thing you can't do, there's nothing you can do if there is no liquidity on the entries. And unfortunately, from time to time, I do run into those type of days. They feel like you are burning mental equity. And that's kind of a phrase a lot of us use all the time now, because burning mental equity is just as crappy of a feeling as losing money, but burning mental equity sometimes is a deeper wound, because a lot of times you kind of let it spill over the next day. And as we all know, I'm very good at kind of tuning the previous day out. So if you guys remember last week, I had a losing day, and the next day I was super focused. So going into tomorrow, I didn't have a bad day. I just couldn't make any money. Now I'm just super focused for tomorrow. And a lot of times you really need to really just adjust to the market conditions. Again, there's no editing here. Everything we do in the live webinar, it's right in front of us. It's right in front of us. We trade normal stocks. We trade realities, and moral of the story is, if there is no liquidity, right? If there's no liquidity, and somebody turns around, well, how can there not be liquidity in Tesla? Well, some of us trade more than 50 shares of Tesla, right? Some of us trade more than 500 shares of Tesla. Some of us do a decent size in these things. And sometimes when you can't get into the trade, as for example, as Google went down $1 for me today, and I said, even if this thing goes down $2, I'm not gonna make any money because I don't have enough. I just don't have enough liquidity. And when you don't have enough liquidity in a trade, that's when, unfortunately, you have a trade that, even if it works out, you can't unfortunately profit from it. And again, this is not a game of, this is not a tallying game that who's right and who's wrong. It's a profit and loss game. You're either profitable in the trade or you're not. So as much as frustrating, I can't even call it today frustrating. It's just more of liquidity biased or lack of liquidity bias. And the most important part, I say this all the time, what's more important, catching a trade without understanding the dynamics behind it, or being able, or missing that trade and being able to identify it over and over and over again. And that's kind of the bottom line. And that's kind of where we kind of segue to tomorrow's session. Again, can tomorrow be the reversal day? Can tomorrow be the reversal day? Every single bear has been saying this for the last like 3 months. Can tomorrow be? Yeah, maybe it will be, maybe it won't be. Every single day you have to go cautious into that stand. And I really thought today could have at least possibly given us some downward bias after those ranges were lost in the morning. But boy, oh boy, you got to give it up to the Bulls, man. You got to give it up to the Bulls. Big shout out to the Bulls. They're just holding serve and really getting into it. So obviously tomorrow we'll get into all the beta names during morning strategy. Let's talk about some other names that we are focusing on tomorrow. For those of you guys who trade everything but beta names. By the way, again, everything off our watch list, guys. Again, the easiest way to swing these things are just by using the previous day's low. That's it. Using the previous day's low. Just stocks like Lila. I mean, just show you stocks that just went in the last couple of days. I mean, just Lila. I mean, look at the move on Lila. Nice move on Lila. All these names I've been putting in the challenge for weeks and weeks and weeks off our swing, STX and J-Bull, all these names have just been really strong. And again, there's nothing that I'm putting into the channel that is mind-boggling. We're in a good bull market. I mean, these swings are going to be viable. So all you guys who are trading at home in a part-time trading program who have full-time jobs, again, just use the previous, after these things trigger, just use the previous day low as you're stopping. It's just make the swing easier and easier to manage. So let's get into some names for tomorrow that could look good. Let's start off with Tenet Healthcare. Okay, start off with Tenet Healthcare. First time oversupply. It closed today over the 150-day moving average. It put in a high today of 2091. So now you're watching order flow above this 2091 to 21 area for possible swing to the 22.5 area, all this area here, 2260s level, which is the 200-day moving average. So definitely keep an eye on, keep an eye on this THC. There's DaVita. DaVita, again, another one of these health providers. Again, big move out of supply, kind of the same thing as Tenet Healthcare. Again, same type of trade, a break above 69.06. Again, use the previous day's low, which is today's low. Break above the 69.06 level can get this thing going as well. CHGG looks interesting as well, guys. Big move several days ago. Nice 4-day base. It looks like it's ready to attack the top of the channel here. Keep an eye on this thing. Keep an eye on this thing above this 830 area. Good looking setup as well. CBMX, this thing looks like it's ready to go. It really is. Looks like it's ready to go. All it needs to do is just get above this 200-day EMA, which is this roughly 425, 430 area. So keep an eye on that. This thing just is not going down. Whatever doesn't go down must go up. I traded this thing twice now. First, I made 25 cents on the trade, like in 3 seconds, and then I lost. I think I lost like 3 cents on the trade. Something like an average, like 3 cents on the trade, and I held it for like several days. So it looks like it's ready to go now. It looks like it's ready to go now. So I want to definitely keep an eye on that one as well. A couple other names that look interesting. Set an alert, guys, for ZIOP. We had this thing right over here several weeks ago. Now it's just basing, flagging. I think a break of $7 can get this next leg up there. So that looks good. This little stock, Life. Looks interesting. Look at this long base, guys. Long base here. Long base here going all the way back to November. November of 2016. 380 break and get this thing going. And let me give you guys one more. Let me give you guys one more here. LTRX looks interesting as well. Another small cap name for all you guys who love these small cap names at home. I think a break here over this 245, 244, 245 area with volume could be good. Obviously, all the high beta names we'll talk about pre-market tomorrow during morning strategy. So please get there early at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So guys, have a great night, everybody. I wish everybody the best. And with God's help, we'll do it again tomorrow. Take care, guys.